Hello, esteemed gentlemen. Some people command attention by speaking loudly. Others do it by saying nothing at all. There's something undeniably magnetic about a man who moves through the world like a ghost, seen yet untouchable, noticed yet uninterested. He doesn't seek the spotlight, but somehow the spotlight finds him. People can't help but stare, trying to figure out the enigma in their midst. Psychologists call this the observer effect, when you become hyper-aware of something simply because it refuses to conform. Sigma males are living proof of this phenomenon. They don't play by society's rules, and ironically that makes society obsessed with them. It's like watching someone at a party who isn't desperately trying to impress anyone. Instead of fading into the background, they become the most intriguing person in the room. Why? Because indifference is the most powerful kind of presence. So why exactly do people stare at Sigma males? Is it admiration, intimidation, confusion? Let's break down the 10 undeniable reasons why Sigma males turn heads without even trying. Number 1. Unapologetic eye contact. There's something about a Sigma male's eye contact that throws people off balance. It's not challenging like an alpha's, where dominance is being established, nor is it hesitant like a beta's, where approval is being sought. Instead, it's neutral, calm, steady, and unreadable. And that's precisely why it makes people uncomfortable. Most social interactions are built on unspoken rules. Eye contact, in particular, is a tool people use to communicate dominance, submission, interest, or insecurity. But when a Sigma male locks eyes with someone, there's no clear message being sent. There's no neediness, no aggression, no social performance, just pure observation. It's like being looked at, not as a participant in some social game, but as an object of detached curiosity. This unsettles people because they're used to eye contact meaning something. They expect it to convey intent, flirtation, intimidation, approval, or even nervousness. But with a Sigma male, there's nothing to grasp. It's just presence. And when someone doesn't give the expected cues, the brain starts working overtime, trying to figure out what's happening. Is he judging? Is he indifferent? Is he seeing something I don't? That silent uncertainty is what makes people stare back, trying to decode something that refuses to be decoded. And in the end, that's what gives the Sigma male an almost ghost-like quality there, yet untouchable. Number 2. Resemblance to fictional anti-heroes. There's something about Sigma males that reminds people of the lone wolves they've seen in movies, books, and TV shows. The quiet, calculating figure who walks his own path, rarely speaking but always making an impact. He doesn't fit neatly into society's labels, and that makes him unpredictable, just like the anti-heroes people can't get enough of. The reason this happens is simple. People are wired to recognize patterns. When they meet someone who doesn't behave like the typical alpha or beta, their minds start searching for a reference point. And where do they find it? In the dark, brooding characters who have captivated audiences for years, the ones who aren't necessarily villains but also don't play by the hero's rules. The man who operates on his own code, refuses to follow the crowd, and doesn't waste time explaining himself. This resemblance makes people instinctively intrigued. They don't just see a regular guy minding his own business. They see a real-life version of the figures they've been conditioned to admire, fear, or analyze. It's why some people are drawn to Sigma males while others feel uneasy around them. The mystery, the unpredictability, and the self-sufficiency trigger a mix of curiosity and intimidation. The key difference is that Sigma males aren't acting. They're not putting on a persona to impress anyone, and they don't care about the comparisons. But that only adds to their appeal, because nothing is more fascinating than someone who doesn't need validation to exist. In a world where people obsess over image and approval, true detachment is rare. People stare because they sense something different, something they've only seen in fiction, now walking among them in real life. And whether they like it or not, they can't look away. Number 3. Effortless individualism. Sigma males don't wake up and decide to be different. They just are. Their way of thinking, moving, and existing naturally sets them apart, and that's what makes them so intriguing. Unlike people who chase uniqueness to stand out, Sigma males don't try at all, which ironically makes them stand out even more. Society is built on unspoken rules. Trends come and go, social norms dictate behavior, and most people either follow along or rebel loudly against them. But Sigma males do neither. They operate on an entirely different frequency, ignoring trends not out of defiance, but because they genuinely don't care. Whether it's fashion, career paths, relationships, or personal beliefs, their choices aren't dictated by what's popular or expected. They do what makes sense to them. This effortless individualism makes people stare because it's rare. Most individuals, even those who claim to be independent, are still subtly influenced by external validation. They dress a certain way to make an impression, speak in ways that fit in, and adjust their behavior depending on who's watching. But Sigma males, they move through the world as if no one's watching at all. That level of self-containment is magnetic. It makes people wonder, what's different about him? Why doesn't he care about the same things everyone else does? And most importantly, how is he so comfortable in his own skin? In a society obsessed with fitting in or standing out, Sigma males do something radical. They exist on their own terms, without effort or explanation. And that's exactly why people can't look away. Number 4. Refusal to chase attention. Attention is the currency of the modern world. People chase it relentlessly, through social media, status symbols, loud personalities, and exaggerated stories. The need to be seen, liked, and acknowledged drives everything from career choices to personal interactions. But Sigma males, they don't play the game. They don't seek validation. They don't perform for approval. And they don't shape themselves based on what gets the most recognition. This refusal to chase attention is almost rebellious in a time when everyone is fighting to be noticed. And because it's so rare, it fascinates people. There's something unsettling about someone who truly doesn't care about being in the spotlight. It disrupts the usual social dynamics, where people either seek attention openly, like alphas, or crave it subtly, like betas. Sigma males reject both approaches. They don't need recognition to feel secure, which makes them immune to the power that social validation holds over most people. This indifference creates an ironic effect. The less a Sigma male seeks attention, the more he gets. People stare because they can't understand how someone can be so unaffected by external approval. They wonder, why isn't he trying to impress anyone? Doesn't he care what people think? But that's the whole point. He doesn't. And that quiet defiance makes him impossible to ignore. In a world addicted to attention, the one who refuses it becomes the most intriguing of all. Number 5. Unconventional thinking. Sigma males don't think like everyone else. Their minds aren't shaped by trends, groupthink, or the constant noise of social expectations. Instead, they observe, analyze, and form conclusions based on their own reasoning. This independence in thought is what makes them so compelling, and sometimes unsettling. When a Sigma male speaks, it's never just to fill the silence or to say what people want to hear. He speaks with purpose. And when he does, people pause. Not because he's loud or demanding attention, but because his words break the script. They're not the same recycled opinions people have heard 1,000 times. They're sharp, unexpected, and often challenge the way others see things. This ability to think differently makes Sigma males hard to predict. They don't blindly follow popular narratives, nor do they rebel just for the sake of it. Instead, they approach problems, ideas, and situations from angles most people overlook. Their perspective isn't influenced by social approval, so they aren't afraid to say things that others might avoid. Not to provoke, not to impress, but simply because that's what they see as true. This unpredictability keeps people intrigued. Whether they agree or not, they can't ignore the fact that a Sigma male's thoughts stand apart. He isn't repeating someone else's opinions. He's presenting something fresh, something that makes people stop and think. And in a world where most conversations are just echoes, that kind of originality demands attention. Number 6. A feeling of knowing something. There's something about Sigma males that makes people feel like they know something, something unspoken, something hidden, something the rest of the world hasn't quite figured out yet. It's not arrogance, it's not condescension, it's just an energy, a quiet, steady awareness that makes people second-guess what they thought they knew. Maybe it's the way they observe rather than react. While most people rush to respond, defend, or prove themselves, a Sigma male takes his time. He listens, he watches, he absorbs everything around him without giving away much in return. And that silence creates an illusion, or maybe a reality, that he sees things others miss. People instinctively pick up on this. They start wondering, what does he know that I don't? It's not about specific knowledge, it's about perception. Sigma males don't get caught up in surface-level distractions. They see beyond trends, beyond social masks, beyond the noise that consumes most people's thoughts. This makes them seem like they have access to a deeper understanding, an inside track to something bigger. The most unsettling part? They never try to explain themselves. They don't overshare, they don't force their views on anyone, and they certainly don't go around proving how much they know. That mystery only amplifies the effect. Because in a world where everyone is desperate to show off what they know, the person who keeps quiet feels like the one who actually gets it. Whether it's true or not almost doesn't matter. The feeling alone is enough to make people stare, trying to figure out what exactly a Sigma male sees that they don't. Number 7. Nonverbal dominance. Sigma males don't dominate a room by being the loudest or the most aggressive. They don't need to. Their presence alone is enough to shift the energy around them. It's not about forcing control, it's about exuding it effortlessly. And that's exactly why people take notice. Everything about their body language is deliberate. Their movements are controlled, never rushed or frantic. They don't fidget, they don't seek unnecessary attention, and they don't waste energy proving themselves. When they do act, it's with precision, whether it's the way they walk, how they hold eye contact, or even how they remain completely still when others would fumble. This kind of composure makes them stand out without trying. In a world where most people react impulsively, a Sigma male's patience and restraint are unsettling. He doesn't jump into conversations just to be heard. He doesn't fill silence with empty words, and when he does speak or act, it carries weight, because people have been waiting for it. Even in confrontation, a Sigma male rarely raises his voice or engages in pointless displays of dominance. Instead, his calm, measured responses create an entirely different kind of intimidation, the kind that makes others rethink their own actions. His confidence isn't performative, it's deeply rooted, and that's what makes it unshakable. This is why people stare. They can sense the quiet authority, the undeniable presence of someone who is fully in control of himself. No theatrics, no posturing, just pure, non-verbal dominance that makes them impossible to ignore. Number 8. Unbothered presence. Sigma males move through the world with an energy that doesn't beg for attention. It commands it, effortlessly. They don't puff up their chests like alphas or scramble for approval like betas. Instead, they exist in a way that suggests they have nothing to prove, and that alone is enough to make people take notice. This quiet confidence is unsettling to those who are used to external validation. In a society where people measure their worth by likes, recognition, and group approval, a Sigma male's indifference disrupts the norm. He doesn't chase admiration, yet he receives it. He doesn't try to stand out, yet he does. And that paradox fascinates and frustrates people at the same time. What makes his presence so powerful is the lack of neediness. He doesn't engage in unnecessary small talk, doesn't overshare, and doesn't fidget under pressure. Whether he's in a crowded room or walking alone, his energy remains the same, calm, controlled, and self-contained. This level of composure is rare, and people stare because they don't understand how someone can be so unaffected by the social games everyone else plays. There's also an unpredictability to a Sigma male's presence. Unlike an alpha, who thrives on being at the center, or a beta, who follows the crowd, a Sigma can disappear just as easily as he appears. He can blend into the background or become the most intriguing person in the room, all without forcing it. And that effortless control over his own presence makes people instinctively curious. The unsettling part? He doesn't care if people stare or not. That lack of concern is precisely what makes him impossible to ignore. Number 9. Mysterious social absence. Sigma males have an uncanny ability to remain largely invisible in social settings, and this absence speaks volumes. While others hustle for attention in every gathering, desperate to be seen and acknowledged, Sigma males choose to observe from the sidelines, or sometimes not show up at all. Their absence in the typical social circles becomes a form of quiet rebellion, and the mystery surrounding it is far more captivating than the loud, incessant chatter of those who constantly seek the spotlight. There's a magnetic quality to someone who doesn't feel the need to conform to the usual social structures. People notice when a Sigma male isn't around, and it gets them thinking, where is he? Why isn't he here? This absence creates an open space for speculation, and suddenly his lack of participation makes him far more intriguing than the people who are always present, always competing for attention. In a world where social circles dictate status and constant engagement is seen as a sign of relevance, Sigma males opt out. This non-participation isn't out of fear, but out of choice. They don't need to be at every party, in every conversation, or on every group chat to feel validated. Their absence becomes a quiet declaration of independence and self-sufficiency, and it draws people in. The intrigue around them grows because their non-involvement leaves a gap that others can't help but try to fill with their own assumptions. The curious part is that this absence never feels like a rejection. It's not that Sigma males are turning down opportunities to connect. They simply don't feel the need to be everywhere all the time. And in a world obsessed with constant socializing and overstimulation, this rare trait makes their presence, or lack thereof, far more fascinating than the usual noise. Number 10. Stillness in chaos. In a world that thrives on constant emotional reactions and chaotic energy, the Sigma male's stillness stands out like a calm eye in the middle of a storm. While others panic, argue, or become swept up in emotional outbursts, he remains unmoved, observing with a level of composure that almost feels unnatural. His ability to stay calm in the midst of chaos is unsettling, and that's exactly why people can't stop noticing him. This stillness isn't an act of indifference or a lack of empathy. It's a sign of self-control, deep awareness, and an unshakable inner balance. In a crisis or high-pressure situation, while others are quick to react, a Sigma male takes his time. He doesn't rush to speak, doesn't let emotions take over, and doesn't make hasty decisions. Instead, he remains centered, allowing the noise and turmoil around him to settle. This reaction, or lack thereof, forces people to question their own responses. It's easy to get caught up in the frenzy of emotions and the urgency of the moment, but when a Sigma male stays calm, it's as if he's aware of something the rest of them aren't. His ability to remain unaffected creates a strange sense of reliability. It's not that he doesn't care, it's that he's simply in control, focused, and able to see things from a higher vantage point. In a way, this calmness makes him a silent anchor for others. People are drawn to it, subconsciously seeking stability in the midst of their own turbulence. But at the same time, it's eerie. There's something intimidating about a person who doesn't get swept up in the chaos. It forces others to examine their own reactions, and in doing so, makes the Sigma male seem even more mysterious, composed, and worth watching. Sigma males are the embodiment of quiet strength and subtle mastery over themselves and the world around them. They don't follow the predictable paths, chase attention, or bend to societal expectations. Instead, they carve their own way, existing with a rare authenticity that others can't help but notice, whether they want to or not. It's the way they remain unshaken in chaos, the way their silence speaks volumes, the way their confidence never feels forced but is always undeniable. What makes them so captivating isn't just their refusal to conform, it's their ability to exist without needing anyone's approval. They make people stare because they do things differently, think differently, and live without the constraints that most people feel compelled to follow. In a world full of noise and performance, the Sigma male is the quiet disruptor, the mysterious force that pulls attention without trying. At the end of the day, people are drawn to Sigma males because they're a rare breed in a society that thrives on conformity. Their absence, their stillness, their self-sufficiency, these are the things that make them unforgettable. And perhaps that's the greatest allure of all. In a world full of people trying to be seen, the Sigma male doesn't need to do anything to be noticed. He simply is. If you found this deep dive into the fascinating world of Sigma males intriguing, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more unique content that goes beyond the usual. Make sure to like, comment, and let us know what you think. Your thoughts are always appreciated. And if you found this video valuable, share it with anyone who needs to understand what makes Sigma males so magnetic. Stay tuned for more, and thank you for being part of this journey.